Hey everybody, and welcome to 𝘃𝗶𝗁𝗵𝗀. I'm Jen.
And I'm David.
And we are going to give you a sneak peek of Christmas. Yay!
Jen's finally letting me work on Christmas.
Finally letting you. I have not been stopping you, but I am excited to get started with Christmas. I know a lot of people look for Christmas in July, and while it's not quite July yet, it's close enough for us to get started. We're not going to do a tree today. We have lots of tree videos that you can go and watch, and we will be filming more tree videos this year, but today, tell us what we're going to be working on.
Today we're going to work on some garland that's going to go over this piece of furniture, so it's kind of like a mantle, and we're just going to accessorize this kind of for Christmas.
And remember, everything you see in the video today can be found at 𝘃𝗶𝗁𝗵𝗀.com. We sell wholesale and retail. You can check us out online or drop us a comment and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
So you may remember last week when we showed you how to turn this into something like this. It was just a little bit bigger, but now we have the wreath in stock that matches the pine spray by itself. We also have a teardrop that matches, if you can kind of see that. It's like half a swag.
The wreath we made in the fall evergreen video, if you remember, it looked like this, but it was larger. Yeah. So this one is an 18-inch base, an 18 inches total, and the one we made last week was on an 18-inch base. This one is a 26-inch total. So the base is the same size on both wreaths, but we made the other one larger. Is that what we did?
The base is very similar. This is an Asian honeysuckle, and the other one is a grapevine wreath.
Yeah, okay. So when you take the pick, you can choose whatever size base you want in a grapevine wreath and add the pick to it to make your wreath larger or smaller than this guy if this one is not the size that you want.
Right. And then we also have garland that matches all these pieces, and that's what we're going to be working with today. So this one just came out of the box, and it's going to require a little shaping. So that's something that I like to keep reminding people, is just the way that it comes out of the box is not necessarily the way that it was intended to be used. That's the way it was intended to travel to you. So we're going to shape this out a little bit and get started. So you can kind of see the difference. This is the lower part is the part that I have already kind of shaped, and everything else is really narrow and really kind of the pine stuck together. So we just really separate that out so that you can see most of the pieces of pine individually. Bring my pine cone up from the back here. So everything's wired. You can bend it. I like to hold the joints a little bit as I bend so that I don't pull it. Sometimes you can be a little too forceful. You can pull it off.
We have a very magic product. It's called an amazing door hanger, and we sell these, and you basically can just pull the backing off of these, and you can save the backing for later and re-stick it, but these will stick to any glass surface and also any surface that is like...
It's super smooth. Like, yeah. We've got some wooden furniture that's highly urethane that's very smooth. It sticks to that really well too.
I'll let you do the honors. So we're sticking this to the mirror, and you can use this if you have a mirror already at home, but this is just kind of what we were working with today, showing you how to turn an ordinary space into a Christmas space.
Yeah.
So we have our 26-inch pine wreath. We're going to hang that on the mirror, and it will also need a little bit of shaping if you order that from us straight out of the box, because these things come packaged in a box that flattens it just a little, but it won't require a whole lot.
I didn't do really anything to this one. This one pretty much that way out of the box.
Yeah, they just all vary because they are all handmade.
Yes.
So that's one thing a lot of people don't realize about our products is the majority of our products are handmade, so each individual thing is put inside of this base, and it's a lot of work and some beautiful workmanship. Before we go farther with this video, so the pine needles make me think of what's being done to David's back right now. For those of you that have been following his back injury / issues and wanting to know what's been working for him, one of the things that he has had done is called dry needling. So what do they do to you when you have dry needling?
So dry needling is where they take an acupuncture needle that's, I guess, a little bit longer than normal, and they stab that into your back near your spine, and they just kind of run it up and down several times, and it feels like they're touching your insides, like your stomach when they go down. It can be quite painful. It is for me, because all my muscle tissue back there is pretty knotted up and bad, but so they do that, and then they leave some of the needles in like they did for me today, and they put these little clamps on my back that are hooked up to a TENS unit. And a TENS unit is basically sending electrical impulses through your body to try to get your muscles to fire, to get that little twitch in it. And because one side of my back is overbuilt and the muscles on the other side are so weak they can't do anything because my back's so weird. And they're trying to get the muscles to relax on one side and get them to engage on the other side more. And it's a pretty painful process every time those electrodes kind of hit you and you're just kind of jumping back a little bit. But sometimes they only do 2. Today they did 4, so I'm in a little bit of pain right now.
So if he's a little slow moving or looks like this, maybe because of what his procedure that he had just a couple of hours ago.
Yeah.
All right, so moving right along, you are going to show us what to do with this garland.
I am. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to double this garland up because I want it to be a little bit thicker. So I'm just going to start a few inches down from where the other one begins, and I'm going to start to twist a couple of pieces of pine around my top layer. Don't have to do much. I don't need it extremely permanently affixed, but a little bit would be nice. So this is going to give me 2 sugar pine cones closer together and some things like that. So we're really just thickening this garland up, and instead of adding picks and sprays right now, we're adding another garland.
Does anybody want to know what happened to David's finger?
My Mickey Mouse Band-Aid.
Little Mickey Mouse Band-Aid there. He had an accident with a machete over the weekend.
I did. I would show you, but it's pretty bad.
We'd have to put up a graphic warning.
Yes, it's not suitable for all ages. I don't know if it counts as violence if you accidentally did it towards yourself. That's more of an accident, right?
It's an accident.
Okay, so we have taken the other garland and thickened this up, and then we're going to move on from there. So this is a new item that we just got in also. And this is a brighter green. It's kind of like a mossy Norfolk pine, but it's got some bright green tips in it. So I'm going to add some of that into my garland. Now, there's a couple of options of how to do that. I can either individually use these small picks to place in there and then wire that in. Or what I'm going to do is, I think the easier route, which is I'm just going to add this garland in a little bit longer on both ends. And I'm just going to wrap a little piece of pine around it. And then I'm actually going to go underneath my garland. And go back around, just kind of snake it around, and then I go back and fluff it back up. You can always check the description box down below for the ingredients of how to make this. So we have added our brighter green Norfolk into it, and I just really like the contrast of the colors. It gives me some brighter green that looks a little more like new growth, and then it gives me some darker green. So I've got a good mixture in here now with some sugar pine cones And I'm sure Constantine will tell me that these are not strobus cones, but they look kind of like a little strobus cone. I think he said they were some kind of fir cone, like an eastern pine cone. So we've got a nice start. Now we're going to start adding some berries in. But one thing to remember when you're doing this is it's really boring to just make this completely straight like this all the way across. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a little bit of a curve, just kind of back and forth. It just really helps encourage that natural feel to some of these things, because most of these things do not grow completely straight. So we're gonna give it a little movement, a little curve, and it's gonna look a lot better like that.
Now we have the 60-inch red berry garland to go with the pine garland and the Norfolk pine garland.
Yeah, so this is a waterproof berry. They actually make the berries separate from the stem, and they waterproof them, and then they glue them onto the stem individually. So a lot of times when we have some of the clusters of berries, when you pull them, sometimes you get a little white spot. That's easy to fix. You can use a little red marker, or you can use a little red nail polish, works pretty well too. But for these, because they're done individually, it's a lot harder to get them to show any of that white. And we're going to use this garland, and similar to what we did with our Norfolk pine piece, we're just going to tuck this in a few places, and we're going to bend these branches because they are wired. So that's something we pay extra for, is the wire in the branches, because instead of it being flat, we want to bring some of these up. We want to bring some of these out to the sides. We want to give it some life and some character. And every so often, we're going to take a piece of pine and just kind of wrap around our vine structure. So on this end, where all of my garlands end, I'm going to place another little pine pick, because I don't want to see all the parts that are meant to hang it with. I'm going to make that more finished out. Easy to do.
We got one of my favorite items back in stock. A lot of you have been waiting on this. We sold out of these last year when we did the Woodland Estates tree. And these are what I call the rattan balls, but they're really called rattan balls. And they can be used year-round in your decor, but they look great mixed with our berries and evergreens and naturals.
We actually use a lot of them for fall also.
Yeah.
We did sell out of them very quickly last year because Jennifer called them rattan balls.
Yes, that's why.
That's
the only reason.
But we're going to use this. This has a fairly long stem in it, and we're just going to
very long.
We're going to slide that stem up, kind of in the direction of our garland, the way it goes. We're just going to add that in to give this some deeper color and texture, and that's really going to work well in our garland. And
remember to bend the stems, just like David did with the garland. This is wired as well. Don't just stick it in straight and it's like...
Yeah, no Frankensteins.
Needs to be a little...
more like Madagascar line.
Yeah. I can't help it that I'm weird. The rattan balls also come in snowed, moss-coated, champagne glitter, and fuzzy-coated. How fun!
One thing that a lot of people have in a foyer area that works really well is something like a glass vase like this. And those work really well because you can change these out seasonally and get them to match whatever you're doing. So we're going to make this match our garland and our wreath. Speaking of rattan balls, I'm going to use those for our vase. These are great because you don't have to do a lot to them. This one reason they're Jen's favorite, I think. But I'm using 6 rattan ball sprays in the natural finish in here to kind of coordinate with our garland. And it gives me a little bit of brown that we have in our mirror and some of the Pinecone. And so it works really well. And the next thing I'm going to do, you could leave it like that, but I'm going to add just a few red berries that are a little bit different style, but coordinate very well with this one.
The next item is a red berry with leaves pick. So this is not just red berries, but it also has some small little leaves on it that you're going to drop in, right? How many of these are you going to use?
And then I'm going to use it's the same kind of berry from the garland without the leaves. And I'm going to cut this bunch up because I actually want to get a little bit of red inside of my vase.
Okay, which are you going to do first?
I think we're going to put these inside the vase first.
Okay. I will hold these.
Okay, so to do this, I'm just going to take these out for a moment. And I'm going to wrap them a little bit in my moss so that it goes down into my container. And I'm going to just tuck it a little bit so it looks like these are kind of growing out of some moss.
Because rattan balls grow in the wild.
Yes, especially the plastic ones. These are natural rattan balls. And then we're going to use these pieces that we cut off of our little bunch and just go straight down to the bottom with them. Gotta be a little bit patient, but just because it's a vase doesn't mean you can't use it. Sometimes it's very pretty to do something on the inside of a vase. And we don't need a ton, so I think I'm actually gonna cut this one a little bit shorter so that we get some shorter pieces in the front here. And put one toward the back. Now we're going to use the berries with the green leaves that'll help us kind of break up some of that rattan ball spray and gives us some green that kind of coordinates with our evergreen.
David has finished the vase and he has finished the garland, and now the wreath is kind of up to you. If you like it simple like this, you could leave it. We're kind of having a little debate here on, we think if we added more berries, it would be just too many berries, but possibly you could add some pieces of the, why don't you grab us a piece and see, of the Norfolk pine, the lighter or brighter green to bring it all together, because it already has the brown, like the rattan balls. But you could add a little piece of this in.
You can. Or you could simply just do a little ribbon or leave it natural.
Yeah, but you wouldn't just put that one piece there. But you could work in some pieces around the wreath to break it up. So that's just all personal preference depending on what you like and how much money you want to spend, because every project has a budget. So maybe you don't really care if your wreath is solid green. You'd rather spend your money more on your garland or your arrangement.
So we did imagine that maybe you had a sculpture or a lamp here, but I'm going to be the home decor piece because we don't have one and I don't want to go over to the other store to get one right now.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you will tune in again next time. Subscribe to our channel and turn your notification bell on because it's about to get really fun. Christmas is coming and you don't want to miss it at David Christopher's.